So the same thing that we just saw on exchange trading volume is happening on Bitcoin search volume. See, we got that peak and then it dropped, which makes sense, right? Because we went into that slow grind halt. And yeah, we were moving upwards in this area, but people, they're fickle, right? If it's not blasting up with massive bullish engulfing candles, they don't care. They don't want to be in it. So even though we were pushing up, it was too slow for most. So we saw daily exchange volume start to go down. See, started going down. And we also saw the search volumes start to go down. Let me put this for past 7 days. So it started to go, oh, let's try 30 days. There we go. Peak, and it started to move down. So we're seeing the same sort of trend on all our data points. So in November 2020, we started breaking out of the previous tops, and then look what happened. Interest goes up, BTC price goes up. Makes sense, right? And then as the search volume peaks, BTC price also peaks. Seeing the same thing across many, many different stats. So we are getting close back to those search volume tops for Bitcoin that we had in 2021. Back above here, we're getting close, pretty close. Not there yet. We are higher than March. So that was the first resistance level, if you want to call it that. The interest in Bitcoin, at least the search volume interest, is higher than it was in March. Okay, that's good. That was the first thing. Now we gotta pass those 2021 peak tops, and I think we're off again. So November 2020, we broke past the previous tops of interest and we flew up. So if we can do that again, break above the peak top interest here and then just fly. So again, you can see we are getting a pullback in interest. Same time we're getting a pullback in prices. And this could just be 1 to 2 weeks. 1 to 2 weeks of pullback before we really take off again. And an exponential amount of interest comes back into Bitcoin and crypto. Speaking of, I do just want to warn you that I've been here for many cycles now, and last cycle, there was a pretty sizable correction in Bitcoin on Black Friday or the Black Friday week. So be cautious of that. That is like next week, right? Let me open my calendar. Yeah, that's next week. Next week, Friday, we're a week out. So just be careful. Remember the gap I showed you? We could correct anywhere down this gap to 74 and we're still healthy. It's still a strong market, but that's a pretty big correction. Let me find Black Friday all those years ago. Okay, so here we go. See how everything was steadily moving up? October, November, okay, and then Thanksgiving, Black Friday. Just like that one big candle was on Thanksgiving. And then this reversal candle was on Black Friday. So prices were low for 2 days in a row, and then they just popped off. So just something to note. It was a 17% drop in 2 days. And that does feel scary when you're in it, but when you look back, you laugh, right? It's like, what? That's nothing. That's child's play. Like, what? It's no big deal. Well, I'm just warning you ahead of time. It could happen again next week where it's like literally a Black Friday sale on crypto. It could happen. We could correct. And because where we are today, 100K, like let's just call it 100K. We haven't hit it yet, almost there, but A 20% correction, which is totally normal and likely and expected, nothing wrong with it. A 20% correction when you're at 100K is 20K. That is objectively a very large number, right? But when you do it in percentages, it's like no big deal. So 10%, obviously, it's easy when we're at 100K, right? A 10% would be 90, 20% would be 80, you get it. 25% takes us to 75, and a 25% taking us to 75, we're still strong in BTC, all because of this high at 74. Is this all making sense? I have been throwing lots of data points and prices at you today, but I think it's important you get all this macro data in so you're not stressed whatever comes, and you're prepared for whatever comes and you know what moves to make. So if we correct, we get a nasty correction, Thanksgiving next week, Friday. Oh, speaking of, our call next week is going to be on Thanksgiving. So I don't know if you all will be here. Maybe it will just be me alone talking to myself. That's okay. You can watch the recording after. But hey, if price corrects on Thanksgiving Thursday, Black Friday, and it's a 10, 15, 20, 25% even, I hope you can take that with you into next week, that it's no worries. Unless something crazy changes, it's no worries, and that could actually be a pretty good chance to pick up quote unquote cheap BTC. It's crazy to say, right? Like if we drop 20% from 100K, BTC would be 80K, and that would be considered a cheap price to buy BTC. Like 80K cheap? It's wild. It's very crazy what can happen in a short amount of time, but that's where we are. That's where we're sitting.